I mean, we have that conversation a lot. Like, where we are currently, we're like, oh, imagine if we were in this position when we were 25. Like, imagine if we knew what we knew and like we could, you know, the whole Pevan and Sarah thing, we could have done that so much earlier. We could be so much further along. But all of the things that we picked up along the way, our teaching, our music, our work with kids, all of it tied in. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's true. Like, we couldn't have done it without.
Imagine doing everything right. Top of your class, a shelf full of awards, the lead role, told your whole life you could be anything you wanted. And then you leave school and get nowhere. You miss out on every course you've dreamed of. That's exactly where today's guest found herself at 17. Sarah Kechayas, a musician, performer, and the co-founder with her partner Manny of the very much loved kids entertainment group, Pevan and Sarah.
What followed wasn't the path she planned. It was long and it was messy. Teaching, music, songwriting, working with kids, years of it. Until those threads tied together into something bigger than the dream she started with. This is part 1 of our 2-part chat with Sarah and Manny. If you're parenting a driven young person who's scared of falling short, or a creative young person, or you yourself are facing this one is for you. Because we believe you are much more than a score and no rejection defines where you'll end up. Welcome to this episode of More Than a Score.
Okay, all right. Sarah Kechayas, thank you for joining us on More Than a Score. I'm very lucky. I get to do the introduction for every guest that comes on. So I've done a little bit of reading and thinking about this, and it might be okay. No. Trust me, it's okay. Here we go. All right. High achiever, great student who faced hitting a wall after school. Deeply passionate musician, professional music tourer. Resilient, driven, faced endless auditions and rejection. Navigated a long, messy, winding road. A brilliant performer and connector who builds community through music and dance. Co-creator of Pevan and Sarah, who built a national brand and new TV clips from an idea and YouTube. Sarah Kechayas, welcome to More Than a Score.
Thank you very much for having me.
We have to say there's somebody else on the couch here today.
Oh, that is true. So he's been very good though. So we do have Manny Kechayas also joining us. So it is a 2-part series, isn't it?
Yes.
And Manny, feel free to jump in as well. But I should say, Sarah, it is very lovely to have you here as well. So you feel free, both bounce ideas, add to each other. If we miss something, you can definitely fill in the gaps.
Absolutely. Can we grab a copy of that because I'll have it read as my obituary.
Okay, all right. Put it on the gravesite. Is that what we said?
Yeah. He does hate per letter because that was pretty long, so I'm sure.
No, look, mates rates.
Yeah.
Do mates rates. Absolutely. Well, Sarah, when you think back to the end of your time at school, were you happy with your score?
Oh, no. But I didn't do badly, but I still, is anyone ever happy with their score?
Well,
maybe, I don't know, expected a lot better of myself. Look, I didn't do badly. I didn't fail. I still did quite well. I wasn't chasing an enter score because a lot of the courses that I wanted to go into at uni are audition based anyway. So as long as you've got sort of passing scores, it was all going to be based on how good your audition was. So it's not like I was like, oh, nursing, I needed 85 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But no, I was devastated with my score. So, I mean, year 12, I lumped hard into the arts. And so I was doing some musics and stuff. But you had to do a science. And also I studied in Adelaide. And our scores are a bit different too. Like we're out of total score out of 20.
Yes.
Out of 50, I think, in Victoria. Anyway. So yeah, I had to do a science. And so my science was disgraceful and dragged down my average. And so, yeah, I even got some perfect scores, but was still upset because it ruined my average with my science.
You have to do I didn't realise, because here the only thing you have to do is an English.
Yeah.
And it can be literature, EAL, or standard English. That's the only thing you have to do. What is the science?
Well,
What was that?
back in 1992 when I went to high school,
back when everything was in black and white?
was actually. So the rule was that you had to do something from the literature, the word you said, stream, and one from the science or mathematics stream. So I had to pick a science at the last moment, and I picked nutrition, and that was a mistake. Mum will tell you.
Right.
I'm interested to know, Sarah, you said, you were devastated, but you were a high achiever, really, really driven, but you didn't have a score in mind and you knew that the pathway was around auditions. Talk me through what the drive was to still just excel and have these really high achieving aims. If it wasn't about the score and that idea, what was the big driver for you to do so academically well?
Look, I think especially in those senior years, and if you come from a performance background, I went to a specialist interest music school. We were very used to sort of competing and being pit against each other for positions or for, spots in a play or spots in a band. So you were always you were with a bunch of very talented peers. But at the end of the day, only so many people get those spots. So I think that competition is instilled in us quite early. And so if you want to get into a performance-based career, you've got to be top of your game. So I think that's probably where it came from. And I'm a control freak, and the bar is, always raising, and, all of those really healthy personality traits that go along with that as well.
I'm wondering what the narrative was around you at that time. What were you being told? Was it all intrinsic motivation, or was there an element of people expect this from me, I'm seen as this particular kind of student? Where does that sort of fit in?
I think it's both. Yeah, I had people telling me, you're a great performer. And so I was also very driven in that way. So I had it from both. I had a very, very supportive family. And so they were, you can dream big and do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want to be. And I had teachers telling me the same thing. And so, yeah, I had actually been fed that for a lot of my senior years. And so then to get out of high school and actually not have those things happen, you're like, that's not what I planned for. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock to the system.
You said there were two teachers that were really supportive. Do you know who those were and what they did for you?
You've read my file. I guess I had a music teacher in high school, Mr. Hammond, who, well, actually we didn't get along first because in year 9 he told me I had a year 9 girl attitude, a typical year 9 girl attitude.
Oh, what's that mean?
Well, I don't know.
I know what that means.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. As a secondary teacher, she gets it. Yeah, she gets it. But it's only because I was, I wanted the role on drum kit, right? But I didn't get the drum kit role. I got popped on the xylophone. And I thought that's because I was female. You pop right. The female anyway.
Is there a hierarchy to the instruments?
Absolutely.
And gendered, apparently.
Yeah, I did. Well, I thought so. So I had this, thing about that in year 9. But, but anyway, that teacher then went on to be my biggest champion and taught me everything I know in music and was so supportive and really showed me the gig life when I was in high school. And then the other teacher was my prep teacher, who once told me I could be the first female Prime Minister of Australia.
Oh.
But Julia beat you to it, so.
Okay. But now you're the best female performer in Australia. Is that what we would say that? That's why we could. I mean, subjectively, we someone's saying it. I think
that's a really kind thing to say, but no, not even.
I think our kids would say it. Our kids would say it.
It's the most excited they've been about the podcast, isn't it?
They're not interested in any other guest except for you guys. So
I'm interested to know though. So what was the thing that flipped when that teacher gave you that feedback? To then go from, well, this is really confronting and I'm a sullen year 9 girl to actually this is having the biggest impact on me. What was the thing that flipped?
Probably hormones, if I'm honest, and maturity. You get to a point where I think girls realise it maybe a little bit earlier than boys. No, I'm generalising. I shouldn't say that. But yeah, you get to a
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
From my own experience.
The senior years are coming and, I think you realise you got to get your stuff together. And so that, wasted talents and, opportunities, I wouldn't be wanting to miss any of them. So I think it was a whole mixture of everything of getting serious, growing up, maturing a little bit, realising if I wanted to do this for real, I actually had to, stop running my mouth off to that one particular teacher. So I think that's it. Is that the answer? I'm not sure.
Yeah. And how did your relationship shift with him then?
Oh, so much better. He was a big kid at heart. Yeah, it just turned to he was this teacher, you'd rock up with 10 blank CDs on a Monday morning and all the kids would do it and you'd give it to him and by the end of the week he's burning over all of the artists he wants you to listen to, all of the tracks that are in your key, all of the songs you should be using for your auditions, all of instrumentalists you should be listening to, and you'd have this stack of CDs that you'd go home, and then the next Monday you'd bring 10 more, and he'd personalize, print off the covers, and like write little notes as to why you should be listening. Like, it was beyond, and as teachers do, well beyond his pay grade. And, he was the one, accompanying us to gigs on the weekend, because, we went to this music school, and so our bands were getting booked for, like, I'm doing little adult gigs, air quotes, when we were 16 years old. So he was rocking up as chaperone. He was just above and beyond supporting. And so once you realised how much he was putting into you, it was hard not to put that much into yourself.
Yeah, I understand.
Come in here, because we had a very similar upbringing, and like those instrumental teachers in our world, I think you couldn't help but look up to them. They were, you idolized them in a way that they were living the life that we thought we were going to be living, and they were doing it day in, day out. And that, for me, like hearing you say that really resonated, and just that you just wanted to please them any way you could, because you knew that they might book you one day in the future, you know what I mean? And all those kinds of things. Like, instrumental teachers in our world were so influential, I think. Absolutely.
And it's an interesting part too, because oftentimes teachers in certain areas, especially at high school, they never did the things. So, they're an accounting teacher, but they've never been an accountant, or they're a business teacher, but never own a business. But musicians are so different. They're actually doing, and they have the talent you're striving for. They're showing you exactly how to do it. It must be such a different sense of respect and, as you said, admiration and inspiration. These people are doing the thing that you want to do.
They teach you, music theory 101 on a Thursday at 1:00, and then you go see them at the Southern Jazz Club on a Saturday night.
Wow.
So it was a really different world. Yeah, like you said, they're a different breed.
Sarah, you were sharing about who you were, like, as a student, as a learner, and your experience at school. I'm interested. We've got Manny next to you. You both came across each other at high school, at the same high school. Manny, what's your perspective or memory of Sarah?
Okay, this is a very funny story. Oh, I think it's a funny story. So we went to the same high school. Sarah is, believe it or not, 1 year. Can I say this?
Yeah.
Sarah's 1 year older than me.
Yeah, and he makes me remember.
And so Sarah went to Eltham High in year 7, but then your family moved to Adelaide. So then when I came to school, she wasn't there anymore. But she kind of left this ghost of Sarah behind because you were enrolled as a percussion student.
I was.
And I started in the school band on percussion. And like Sarah was saying before, positions are really hard to get, and we're all fighting for them. And there was a big position coming up in one of the senior bands, and I was really trying to hopefully get it. But like all the teachers were like, remember, Sarah, she's coming back.
We were only meant to go to Adelaide for 2 years. Well, that's the lie that my parents told me to get me to go. So.
That's so interesting, but there was a space held for you.
Not held. It wasn't held.
It was a shrine.
It sounded.
Yeah. Because you communicated to the school that you were coming back and those things. And so it was like, just remember, we have a really talented student coming back. And
as in, I'd be in the mix fighting for this position.
Well, yeah. And they would always have to account for that. And so there was this like kind of impending doom of this phantom student called Sarah. And that's all we knew. And it never eventuated because your family ended up staying in Adelaide for a lot longer, and you never came back. But it's really, I just can't believe how much I look back at that, because you were in my life.
Yeah, before I was in
you were absolutely in my life.
The ghost of Sarah was in your life. But and she was already known. You were already known as a really talented musician then.
You said that right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We were told that, she was really talented and had great skill, and the position, we'd be fighting for it. So it was really interesting. Very, very.
The competition, you said.
Yeah, so early. I mean, that's what we've had in us since then in this kind of industry. It's tough.
So I'm imagining Manny then spent years just slowly just staring at this empty chair, just practicing, ready for the.
Yes, like, you didn't have good views about me. How dare she? Just doesn't even go.
Holding this seat without even being here.
Yeah. So, okay, for fast forward, we'll finish the story, because we met at university for the first time, really. And we became friends, and it took us a while to make the connection, because
I was going to say, when did you realise this percussionist was coming back?
Well, we'd even competed against each other over the years, because I joined the South Australian Percussion Ensemble, and we used to go to Ballarat to compete against, and so
at Royal South Street.
Yes. Do you want to know? Do you want to know who won, or should we just?
Obviously.
Okay.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, that was us. So.
Let's.
No, but we never met. And so then when we got to uni together, we sort of made the connection. He's like, oh, you're that Sarah.
Yeah,
Gross.
well, the ghost of Sarah slowly kind of dissipated as after the
got to year 12, you're like, she's not coming back.
because the 2-year mark came and you didn't come, and there was like maybe next year, and then anyway.
I think you've blown this up way bigger than it was a big deal.
We're happy for you guys to work all this out on the couch.
Yes,
during
yes,
this.
yes.
This is
It's-
therapy.
It's the same place.
We definitely had to say multiple times this is not therapy.
Yeah, do
This
not
is not
listen
therapy.
for medical advice at all.
We've gone to the wrong point.
Yeah, that's okay, but yeah, we'll turn the mics off and then we'll continue. So Sarah, you finished year 12. I'm really interested. You finished year 12 having been told you could be whatever you wanted, and then you ran straight into a no and hardship and adversity. I'm interested. So what did those knockbacks teach you that the awards and the accolades never could?
Yeah, good question. Look, I want to preface by saying, you say hardship and adversity. Like, I was in a very privileged position, and I'm not, not taking that for granted.
Yeah.
I just got an amazing education at a specialist interest music school. I was still living at home, well supported by my family. So I will preface by saying, that's a very privileged position to be. But as a 17-year-old woman who didn't have her dreams come true straight out of high school, I was devastated. And so, yeah, and you're right. I'd cleaned up at Year 12 awards, like all these music awards. I'd done the due diligence. I'd passed the subjects, got the lead singer role. I had done all of those things, which I'm told leads you to where you want to go. Like, who else is it going to be? But also, there are many, many, many other 17-year-old girls all wanting those same positions at those same courses from all over the country. And who says I'm any better than they are? And so, yeah, I did a round of auditions, as everyone does coming out of high school. You audition for Whopper, you audition for the Con, you audition for VCA, you audition, I don't think I did NIDA, but, did the whole suite. Zero, nothing, did not get into anything. And I was just like, well, I don't have any other plans. Like, there's no backup here. I clearly don't have science on my side.
No nutrition.
No nutrition.
Okay.
So, yeah, look, I just had to make something up. Like, I had my mum on the phone to the head of music being like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And, like, writing letters of support, like, is this, it was, what am I going to do? So life rolls on. Like, you kind of just keep going. And so and there's nothing wrong with this. Like, what I did was great. I ended up doing I did an audition for a Cert 3 in music at the Adelaide Con, which wasn't the Bachelor, but it was still at the Adelaide Con. So, I was still mixing with musicians and talented people, and I, got part-time jobs and just tried to improve my craft even more.
Yeah.
Until the audition time rolled around again, and then you just go again. So that was kind of my life straight out of high school.
And what did that teach you, having to do a course that perhaps wasn't necessarily the most prestigious or the one that you were quote unquote supposed to do? Because you said, the messaging you got was, if you work hard, you can follow your dream and you can be whatever you want. And you couldn't. So what did that course and course correction teach you?
Look, I think it was pretty rude awakening.
You actually said that.
Did I?
Yeah, you said it was a rude awakening.
Yeah, a rude awakening. Because, you told a story your entire life and then it didn't come true. But look, not one to dwell. And I did a music course and I was with really talented people and I made some good friends and we were still making music and I was making connections. I didn't stop going to gigs. I didn't stop performing. Like, it all just, nothing changed. And I even, and Manny and I talk about this all the time. Like, things eventually did happen. We went to the Victorian College of the Arts and we got our Bachelor of Music. There's not a lot you can do with a Bachelor of Music. Like, just saying, like, there's a piece of paper. Hey, I can sing good. Like, it's not a lot you can do with that piece of paper after a degree. Like, some jobs,
that was almost the biggest rude awakening.
Yeah.
Right. Finishing uni and then going, whoa, what are we doing now?
We just finished a 3-year course and we are, air quotes again, some of the best musicians that have just come out of uni, only to be doing gigs with people who actually didn't go to uni and didn't do these courses. And wow, they're in the exact same position as we are. And so, yeah, it's really not the be all and end all of life with that piece of paper, is it?
My gosh, we've been in my family recently playing. Have you played the board game, The Game of Life?
I don't think we have.
Oh my gosh. Definitely do it because I love watching. So I can resonate to what you're describing. My wife did a similar pathway, like straight from school into uni. She started doing Bachelor of Arts and then transferred into teaching. But now with The Game of Life, the way that you start, you can choose, do I go straight into a career or do I do the study? And they have pros or cons. And I love watching her play because every time she's like, I'm going to go straight into a career. I want to do that. So it's interesting that you can still get to the same spot, but someone's taken a different path.
I mean, we have that conversation a lot. Like where we are currently, we're like, oh, imagine if we were in this position when we were 25. Like, imagine if we knew what we knew and like we could, you know, the whole Pevan and Sarah thing, we could have done that so much earlier. We could be so much further along. But all of the things that we picked up along the way, our teaching, our music, our work with kids, all of it tied in.
Yeah.
I know it sounds so cliche, but it's true. Like we couldn't have done it without.
But it's also the connections you meet at the certain time, and maybe that person wouldn't have been ready to propel you here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe YouTube wouldn't have been able to propel you. And it's funny, isn't it? And that, yeah, maybe, but maybe you wouldn't be
Exactly.
here.
Well, for the person listening, because at some point someone's going to go through adversity, and it looks different for everyone, as you said, depending on where you are and the
Or
sports that
rejection,
you've got,
maybe.
or rejection.
Yeah.
Or you know, you have this plan, you have this vision, and it just doesn't work out. So, knowing all that you know now, what advice would you give someone listening that's either going through that right now, or potentially thousands of people as the end of year 12 approaches in 2026? I'm dating the episode now, Laura. Sorry. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Look, I wouldn't tell them not to dream big or not go for the things that they want. I think that kind of persistence and passion is still super important and super value, because why not you? You know, it could be you. Why not? But maybe with a bit of elderly woman hindsight here, I would perhaps say diversify just slightly, build up your toolkit in other areas. I was very, one-trick pony. And so, yeah, maybe if I had to develop some of those skills that we're using now and just, I don't know, taken my blinkers off just ever so slightly, and diversified, options and being open to different possibilities, then perhaps.
Yeah, so still have the passion, but also add to it by having other things around, and being aware I think sometimes people aren't aware when they've got the blinkers on, right? So maybe trying to just step back and notice, are there other things I could do? I want to come back to you gave us a really lovely nugget just then around, you mentioned certain skills that you'd had. Can we come back to that? Because I really want to hear about the skills that you've both actually developed over time. But thinking of the journey, so I was writing down here and you spoke about a Cert 3 and then that second round of auditions that you had to go through, going to VCA, the Victorian College of Arts, Bachelor of Music, running a music school, aged care, integration aid work, travel, special needs teaching, dip ed, years of prep, years of work, and then you create Pevan and Sarah, Cub Club, and then you eventually go full-time with it all. Am I right? In 2021, almost nothing was linear within the work then. And your path was, in your own words, long and messy. So walk us through the real turning points from that first round of knockbacks to going full-time with Pevan and Sarah. I know that's a massive question, but just...
Are we here till...
Yeah, that's it. All right, go for it. We can be here until we've got school pickup.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, right. Yes.
We are here till 3:30. Yeah, look, it's long and it's messy and none of it was expected, but all of it was welcome. But even as you read it, you can almost see the cogs turning and the thinking of where it happens. Like I know it's long and it sounds messy, but it actually almost makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, you get out and you failure, but then you had the acceptance and you got your degree, and then you realize there's not a lot you can do with a music degree. So you are passionate about, well, the thing is, a lot of musicians fall into instrumental teaching, right, which you don't need a degree for. So often while you were learning your degree and learning and fine-tuning your art, you are teaching as well, just instrumentally. So I was teaching vocals, I was teaching piano in schools. And so I had that experience around kids on the side, but didn't think anything of it. And then, we were also running children's parties and things. So there was that element of performance music and kids all in one. So then before I got my DipEd, I got a job in a school as a integration aide. So I did another Cert 3, love the Cert 3, to be an integration aide, and I was working in a class with a lot of special needs and love that, which eventually turned into, now DipEds I don't think exist anymore.
They don't. They're masters now.
Yeah, I was really lucky. So I actually did something that's called a permission to teach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're really big now because of the teacher shortage.
Yeah, right.
Lots of people getting permission to teach now, but it was pretty niche at the time. I would have done it.
Yeah. So
But just for anyone listening who might not be in education, so you're still studying, but you get signed off so that you can actually go work in a school and teach while you're also finishing up your diploma.
Well, even more crazy in my instance, my very first year of teaching in the classroom was my DipEd year.
Wow.
So they said, here's your classroom. Can you do uni on the side? And so that was a really crazy experience in a special needs classroom, which was very special and where my passion still lies. But a very green graduate student, had no idea what I was doing. Hadn't even done placement.
DipEd is a year. So literally, it's not as if you'd had a year before. It's 1 year. So you're starting in prep.
Yeah, it was online. Like my course was online.
Right.
So I was doing it. Yeah, it sounds dodgy now. I promise I'm a good teacher. And then, so we got, super green grad here being like, what do I do? Manny, what do I do? And just returned to music. So started writing music for the kids in my classroom, saw the impact there, got my DipEd, went on to teach for years in prep. And then, that's when we jumped into Pevan Sarah full time. So I don't even know if I answered your question just there.
Yeah, there's some definite turning points that you're having. Well, you said that, not that it was strategic or anything, but you could see that you were slowly adding on. You were noticing areas that you were interested in, areas that you were wanting to lean in, and combining, this love of music alongside, there's this thing around helping and working with kids or young people in some sort of way. And so you just kept sort of following that and pulling on, like Laura does, a thread.
Yeah.
Where it just sort of led to more and more. What about the flip between, so when did you know that Pevan and Sarah could actually go full time? What were those indicators for you?
Look, I think the answer is we didn't. And we took a really big risk.
Right.
Look, we had inklings. It was obviously growing. It was obviously we could see the impact it was having, even if that was on a very small scale. But ultimately, we had to take a risk. And we dropped down. I went to classroom music teaching. Manny moved out of the classroom into instrumental. So we were just doing 3 days a week, 2 days a week, and balancing that. We taught online. We were teaching during COVID. We did the whole online classroom thing. And at the end of that, we had to make a decision because we were just not putting in the energy it required and deserved, I guess. And so we took a leap of faith. Thank goodness it paid off. Yeah. It was a big risk. We hoped it would work, but we didn't know it was going to work.
If someone hasn't seen the joy of Pevan and Sarah, can you explain to someone listening Pevan and Sarah? What is Pevan and Sarah?
Yeah. Look, in its current form, it's probably two main elements. We have Cub Club, which is what is often referred to as the Netflix for teachers. And then we've got our touring model as well. And so they work hand in hand. And so we're creating video content and music and resources for the classroom. Kids are watching us in the classroom throughout the day and throughout the year. And then they come and visit us on an excursion at the end of the year. We hire out giant performing arts centres and they come along to the live show and the live element of that. And so in its current form, it's, I guess, Cub Club and a touring model as well.
If someone had said to you, while you're still at the VCA, you will be a children's entertainer, how would that have landed for you back then?
Honestly, pretty badly, because one of my part-time jobs during uni, I had several. Who didn't?
Correct.
I was at Mitre 10 and I was an aged care and all that stuff. But one of them was doing children's parties as a fairy or a disco person.
My wife did that.
Yeah. I hated it. I was really good at it. I know that sounds egotistical. I was really good at it, but it created so much anxiety for me. Like, it was the most anxiety-inducing job I've ever had, and I hated every minute of it. But I was good at it, so I kept doing it because it brought in the money. So if you had said that to me, I would have been like, not a chance, lady. Not happening. Because that's what you associate. A lot of people associate kids' entertainment. So when we tell people, what do we do? Oh, we're in kids' so parties?
Yeah.
So I would not have responded well. I would have, wouldn't have touched it with a 10-foot pole back then.
Yeah. Do you think there was an element of stigma, especially if you're at the VCA? I'm imagining the idea around, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, proper musician or career musician doesn't involve that. And I'm just wondering if let's say somebody is in a career like that or a degree like that, and that's the belief system, could you try and shift it for them, or would you try and shift it for them?
Not at that age. And I think there still is a stigma, not even just as kids' music in general. It's heaps better than it was.
Yeah.
And our industry is full to the brim of talented musicians. So there shouldn't be any stigma, but there still is around kids' music and the quality of it. But what people don't realise is we're approaching it the exact same way as we did when we did our, air quotes again, grown-up music.
Yes.
We're applying all of our skills and all of our tricks. There's nothing different about the music itself. It's just the content that we're writing about. So yes, there's still a stigma. And no, I wouldn't have tried to convince those 22-year-old trumpet players who think they're God's gift to. No, I wouldn't have tried to convince them otherwise, because I thought so too. Kids entertainment, that's cute.
Yes.
It sounds like there's a big, that's the growth that's happened for you. What else have you learned about yourself across all these years then? So from going from that moment of what you thought to where you are now, what have you learned about yourself?
Look, I think ultimately nothing has changed. I think the way that I think now and the way that I am now, it's been ingrained in me for a very, very long time. I think I'm better at managing the parts that don't do me so well, although you probably disagree on that, wouldn't you, Manny?
No, you're still extremely driven. You're still extremely ambitious. And that hasn't changed at all.
I think I can pick which of those elements of my personality service me more these days than I could back then. And yeah, that's a really tricky question to answer.
Can you help her, Manny? Are there things that you've noticed or you've seen develop in Sarah over this time?
I think as artists, as musicians, as that industry, we're constantly told that we're pretty worthless. I think, just when it comes to whether it's, reimbursement for the work that we do or the way that society values, our music, and with, the rise of streaming and all that kind of stuff, and the very little royalties that we make for the work that we do, we're constantly told that we're not really worth much. But I think one thing that I think has changed is that I think that we've realized that what we do actually does have worth, and that's not just monetary. That's not what I'm talking about. It's like our confidence has built because we understand that what we do is valuable and has impact. And if anything, that's probably been one of the biggest changes, that I think when we wake up now and get to go do our amazing job that used to be a hobby, it gives us purpose, and it really makes us realize that when we get up and we walk out the door, we're actually going to do something pretty amazing, pretty cool. And I think, so to answer the question, I think what's changed, I think it's belief in ourselves. I think and talking about Sarah's rejections and things like that, and what it's like, I think it's our confidence has changed, and I believe in ourselves. It's taken us a really long time, I won't lie, and the path may have been a little messy, but it's all those mistakes that I think that we made together along the way that gives us the confidence to say, I'm pretty sure now we're at least on the right path.
I think I know what we're talking about now, yeah.
Yeah, because we've made a lot of mistakes.
But you can't ever really know your impact, right? When you're putting something out in a streaming way, you can see the numbers.
That's it.
You can see the numbers. And I guess when you get into the spaces where you're with your audience, you can go, oh, wow, it is actually making an impact. But you weren't there when I watched my son sing to your graduation song, when all the parents were in tears and they had learnt all the movements, and I got to sit there and watch my boy sing to your song. You'll never see those moments. You'll never see, the brain breaks in which the teacher pops on a Pevan and Sarah and they're dancing around in complete joy. So it's one of those things, isn't it? You kind of have to put it out there in good faith, hoping that how you are, hoping it will be received is received, because you're never ever going to get all of the feedback that your stuff is. And
watch those numbers climb digitally, but they're just numbers.
It's just one metric.
Exactly. And that's not, it's just one metric. Exactly. That's why we love touring so much, because we get to see them in real life.
Yes.
Just to jump on that, like our like kind of mission statement, it sounds really boring and work and business stuff, but it's like we want to create positive memories, and we sat down and we talked about it, and it's like obviously we want to help introduce kids to music. We want to help them move their bodies in the classroom. We want to help them stay engaged and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, we just want kids to have fun in the classroom and for that space to be a really positive experience, because for some kids, that is the best part of their day. And if we're contributing to that in any way, like talking about our confidence and getting up and going, and like every day we just want to go out there and work towards our mission, which is creating positive memories in the classroom.
So when you think of, imagine if I'm someone who is feeling behind because my path isn't as tidy as others, what advice would you give me?
Oh, look, just give up, mate. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. All right, so that's it. We're going to end. Thanks, everyone. Okay. All right.
Yeah, look, and just like you would say the exact same things to your students. Not everyone is on that same path, right? And you're talking about milestones. You're talking about things that you're meant to. We're doing air quotes.
Yes.
Lucky we've got some cameras out. We'll catch them.
We're meant to achieve. That path is not the same for anyone, and we see it as teachers. We see it in the classroom every day, and I think the same thing applies to adults in adulthood. No one's path is the same. No one's achieving what they're meant to be achieving at the same rate. It's all different, and so chalk and cheese, I don't think you can compare. And so just keep going, because you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what's around the corner for you.
And as you say, having the blinkers on and assuming one path is the only successful one actually shuts you off from so many opportunities and possibilities, connections, impact, all the things, which, you're a testament to.
Absolutely.
There's some stories from the Gold Rush. Stick with me here, everyone. Where it's
so people,
so people would be digging in these tunnels or in these trenches for ages, and then they'd stop and walk away and not find gold, and then the next person came, did the next hit, and suddenly they find a nugget. So
listening to the pokies too.
Wow, all right, yeah, but I'm not really for the gambling Laura thing. So I like how you spend your Saturdays though. But I think listening to you, it's if it's an area of interest and a thing that you're also good at and it energizes you, because the thing listening to you talk, you sound like you're more aware of the things that energize you and are a strength versus the things that you're good at but drain you. And you've started doing less of the things that drain you and more of the things that you're really good at and also energize you.
I'll just jump into this, say I can identify them. Doesn't mean I've stopped doing them, because I'm a yes person.
Well, and that's normally the first step, isn't it? Like that, the awareness. First awareness, and then starting to take.
Look at that.
We can talk about the agreeable no and starting to push back slightly. But I think listening to as well, based on all that you're saying, there's this underlying theme, and it was also in the pre-pod form you did around feeling satisfied. So I think it's a nice segue to start to think of how's success changed
or not changed
for you. And I'm going to do a two-parter. What does being satisfied mean to you now? So talk us about success, and then what would you being satisfied actually look like?
Manny is giggling.
And then Manny can also answer what it is.
No. This is a great question. I think it's a good question.
Just tell me the first part again.
So what does success look like? What does success mean to you?
Okay. That metric is forever changing, and I think that's the problem. And we were sitting on the couch last night talking about what's happening this week, off to the podcast tomorrow, and we are on ABC on Saturday. So huge milestone, and we've had the tours just started. And if you looked at what we're doing right now, I think a lot of people would say success.
In air quotes again.
Yes.
I would just say success. It sounds really successful.
Yeah, and I think from where we've come from, it's definitely success. I wrote in that little bit, never satisfied. And I think this is, Laura, this is a me problem and I don't know how to fix it because that bar is always raising. So maybe I'm asking listeners for some advice here because I am never satisfied. So I think it's a problem, and I think it could be a problem for a lot of, I don't know, right side brain. I don't know, what is it? Is it my personality? Is it I don't know, there's something fundamentally, I don't know, wrong with me. I'm not sure, but that forever striving, and it's exhausting because you hit somewhere, you hit your goal, and you don't have time to celebrate because that goal was last year's goal and you've already moved on to 10 goals ahead of that. And so when we've got to take a moment to be like, hey, remember that time we set that goal and we actually achieved it? It's happening on Saturday. Let's take a moment and actually celebrate. Yeah, I'm sort of preaching to myself here because I'm not good at it, and it's really, really unhealthy. But also, you know, on the flip side of that double-edged sword or whatever, that kind of drive and ambition is what pushes us to be the best that we can be. So I think I don't know what success looks like because I thought I did, and then I got there and it's still not enough.
Yeah.
And so I guess then, to follow that up, so success for you is hitting certain goals at certain times and then looking ahead. But savoring when you hit them is something that you're not yet doing. Have you got a plan to pause and savor this moment of getting onto the ABC?
No.
If you were to both, knowing yourselves as you do, what would stopping and savoring this moment of success or hitting this thing, what might that look like?
I think that it would look like Sarah and I looking at each other like we are right now and being like, high five. And that's the honest answer. But I want to sort of contradict a little bit of what you
Please do, because I took a dark turn.
No. It's you're
being honest.
Your answer was really honest and it's perfect. And I think it's actually 100% correct. But I do want to say that I think recently we have been getting a lot better at reflecting and thinking, and also looking back. Like, we've been doing this for 12 years now, and like I don't want to talk about like a silly trivial metric like Instagram likes or something, but we often say that, you know, 10 years ago we would have loved to get 3 comments on a post, or say, you know what I mean, or even, you know, like 1 comment on.
I would have loved having 2 people talk to us about what we do in a podcast.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes,
exactly. And I think this last month has been quite intense for us, and it has engaged a lot of reflection for the 2 of us, and I think we are getting a lot better at it, and it's humbling, and we are really grateful for these opportunities. And to be honest, it's just allowing us to get what we love to do and our passion out there.
Yeah.
And that's
I do note, yes, totally hear what you're saying, Manny. I do note that you said the word success, and then in a really teacher way, you went around and you kind of summarized what I said and like fed it back to me. And when you did that, I was like, wow, that is just business orientated, and success in life like can have a whole lot of different looks about it.
Yeah.
And not once did we mention work-life balance or, you know, successful relationships or, you know, happiness or anything like that. So I like, there's something to learn from that, because wow, maybe we need to concentrate on those things too.
But also you said like your pathway has always been, if you're not the best, if you don't book the spot, someone will take it. If you're getting that message from a very early age, it makes sense that you're kind of like, next, because if I rest on my laurels for even a moment, someone's going to come in. And so it does make sense that you're constantly like, we've just got to keep momentum, because the minute we stop, we've been told the gap will be taken. Sarah's going to come back on percussion, Manny, and you're not going to have that spot anymore. Like, it seems that's been ingrained for a very long time. So I think you've got to be fair about the fact that that is something you've been fed for a very long time.
I think I love you.
It's definitely not therapy.
No.
It's not therapy.
No, I think we have to be fair, right? We've got to be fair about where these messages come from and why we hold them.
And also noticing the way that you 2 interact too. I'd say, whilst you say you might not have explicit goals around like your working relationship, your professional, your personal relationship, life outside, like you strike me as wanting to support and cheer for each other as well. So I think it's just an intuitive thing that you do as well. But you've also now got more awareness that maybe there's other things on the other.
Thanks, Dad.
Okay. Well, yeah, exactly right. I know. We're just super cheerleaders. Right? And it's like, come on, you guys are great. We mentioned skills before. So you said way back when earlier in this episode, there's been a bunch of skills that you've refined and learned that you wished you'd known, or what are those skills that have helped you throughout this time?
Look, I do liken it to teaching, and I think you can relate to this. When you go into teaching, you think, great, a classroom of 25 kids, it's me and them, and I'm going to teach them the curriculum. We're going to have the best time ever. But as you well know, teachers wear every hat under the sun, right? Yep. You're counselling, you're running meetings, you're collecting data, you're dealing with parents. Like, I don't have to list them off to you. I just did. But you know what I mean.
You're entertaining too.
It helps the listener.
It's an entire show. And look, that's why this is a whole other conversation. That's why teachers are burning out. It's not to do with the kids in the classroom, which is core business. It's to do with every other piece of load that you take on, as you are very well aware. So as far as skills go, I think that experience in the classroom did not stop in small business. It's very similar in the way that you have to wear every single hat in that business. And so skills just had to improve in every single area. We possessed a lot of them from teaching, like, any teachers in the crowd listening, diversified in skills and things, if you want to get out teaching, we hear this a lot, like it's actually a really good career to transition from, because the skills are quite transferable. Absolutely. The same in small business, in teaching is your core business, music and video is performance is our core business. There's not a whole lot of the day that we're actually doing that core business, and those skills involved with running a small business. You talk to any entrepreneur. Oh, me and my aircon. I'm really going to cut off those fingers. So those skills that we just had to do because no one else was going to do them. We listened to a couple of your episodes of podcasts of people with their business partners. Often they're a smart connection because they have kind of yin and yang effect. Manny and I aren't so much like that. We are a little bit, like we've got different areas that we're skilled in. But
professionally, I think we have very
similar. And so we're very, the creative. So when it came to running a business, oh boy, it's a very steep learning curve. And so the skills that we're talking about that we've just had to, bring from teaching or learn along the way because there was no one else to do it for us. Look, we're very lucky now that we've been able to diversify and bring on people to support us. And so we have a team that is, lightening that load a little bit these days. But up until, just a couple of years ago, it was just the two of us. And you just had to learn. How do I do that? I don't know. Look on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Well, I was just going to say to you, where do you find the information? YouTube?
Yeah. Well, all of Manny's technical skills are directly from YouTube. We didn't learn video editing. We didn't learn music production. We didn't learn banking or finance. We didn't learn anything.
We outsource our banking.
So yes, our accountant is our most prized employee of the lot. But
it's either learning or outsourcing, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like that's the only other option there is.
Yeah, but like the school of YouTube, you really had to just learn how to do it.
What's something that you learned how to do that you're pleasantly surprised you enjoy that you didn't know would be something that you'd be like, oh, I actually quite enjoy doing that?
That's a good question. I'm not very good at it, but I quite like design side of things. Like, you don't realize in our industry how many things need designing. We're doing thumbnails, we're doing video covers, we're doing posters and tour posters and Instagram posts, like a lot of design elements that I didn't think I would like but had to do, and then kind of realized, it's actually quite calm. That said, with a grain of salt, when you have the time to do it, because when you're pressed for time and you're trying to whip something up and you're a perfectionist and you have to get it right, it's actually really painful. So if I had the time and wasn't putting out a million on spot fires and other areas of business, then absolutely design.
Oh, and we talk about this too. Like, oftentimes, like, Dan might send me something and like, it's not right, but I don't know exactly how to make it right. I'm with you. I'm not actually an overly creative design person. I have sort of fallen into a little bit with Dan and I, but it's really tricky because I'm like, the content's great, love the content, something's not right, but I don't have the eye for it
to say and sort of articulate what it is.
No, I don't. Poor Dan's just like, can you fix it? I'm like,
Well,
Can you be
I
specific?
relate to
terrible.
perfectionism because I'm very much a recovering good enoughness. So I don't know if you've read the book The Gifts of Imperfection at all. Really recommend that. So by Brene Brown.
Okay.
And I just going through that because I always go back to thinking of your thing around satisfaction and stuff it's like a scale of like, well, what for this task, what's good enough mean? Or
So are you a perfectionist turned good?
yeah, very much so. So
It sounds promising.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
more still.
absolutely. But it's literally thinking of a scale. So like if it's a poster for a tour, a national tour, pretty important to do like a 10 out of 10 is the good enough. Like, right, you need to bring your A game. Whereas if it's, I don't know, maybe like an email or something that you're sending out, good enough might be a 3 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10 or like you'll know, but it's at least you're aware.
Well, we had to kind of do that when we launched our website. Our very talented brother-in-law taught us MVP, which is a similar concept, minimal viable product.
Yeah.
Because you just do the thing or else it won't get done.
Yeah.
So when you are a perfectionist, sometimes you just miss it because you're just waiting so long to make it perfect.
Yes.
You just got to put it out there sometimes.
Yes.
Fix it on the fly.
And actually, that's where the learning comes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was us with the podcast. We were talking round and round and round and then we'll
Totally.
finally just like, right, let's just go
Just
record something.
do it.
And it was really,
To be fair, we listened to the first film and just like, we really could have got more out of that guest. But that's what it is.
Yeah. MVP.
is it okay if I ask some really hard-hitting questions just towards the end while we've worn you down by my 8-year-old? Is that okay?
See, this is what I like to answer.
Okay. All right. So probably, look, it's not a really original question, but why Pevan and Sarah? Sorry, I shouldn't downplay my kids' question. Hey, why Pevan and Sarah? Why that name?
The name?
The
Like
name.
specifically the name?
Yes.
That has its own story, so I'm happy.
Okay, we'd love to.
When I was
Good
in
on
the
you, Abby.
classroom, my very first classroom, we're talking about, no experience whatsoever, I had a cuddle buddy. I'm sure you guys have had them in the past where you have a soft toy and it goes home.
Well, I'm a
Did you have that in secondary school?
Definitely not.
I feel like
I would have been in.
need a cuddle.
I think.
Those solid year 9 girls?
Yes.
They do need a cuddle.
Yeah.
You would understand a cuddle buddy. So we go home every Friday. Ours was a tiger. And so when we went to name our tiger, I was asking for suggestions. We did a vote on the board as you do, student, what's it called?
Agency of voice.
Thank you. Agency of voice. And so one little girl who I'd been teaching all year put her hand up and said, Pevan. And this little girl had barely said boo for the whole year, hadn't spoken to me, had trouble coming to school, like problems with separation, all that kind of thing, and said Pevan. I said, did you mean Kevin? No. Pevan. And I was like, you know what, mate, you could have said anything and we're naming this tiger Pevan. And so when it came, a chance to name our tiger, we went with Pevan.
And then the second question that we had for my 8-year-old was, what is the best thing about being able to be silly on stage all the time?
The best thing about being silly on stage, it means I don't have to pretend because I'm silly off stage too. It's not like I get on stage and have to be someone different. I just be my true authentic self, which includes a lot of silliness. And look, when you're dancing next to a giant tiger, silliness ensues. So you can't really help it. But just be yourself, right? Even if it's silly.
Well, that's what we often talk about in my family. We're like, one of our key things we love to do is like be silly. We love life's too serious and a bit crap at times. So we're like, well, if we can, let's be a bit silly.
Absolutely.
A final question that we ask is, so knowing the listener, what haven't we asked you about that we should have that would help people listening?
Yeah, look, okay. That's a really great question and you've stumped me a little bit. But I think, without sounding too cliche, I think it's, and I imagine so hard for parents to let them make mistakes because they're not going to be too dire in the scheme of things. Our schooling life is such a blip on the radar. I think looking back now and, as older people, you look back, it really is a blip and it's not the only way. Like, I mean, if you don't get into uni, I remember back when I was there, you could go again the next year as a mature age student. Like your score really didn't mean that much. And so I think letting them make mistakes, but also one thing I will say, and I don't want to get on my teacher high horse here, but I think it's really important to remember that the teachers and the adults in your children's life, majoritarily speaking, want exactly what you want for your child, which is the best for them. Teachers don't get into it for the money. They are genuinely passionate about children and their outcomes. And so as hard as it may be, and yet it'll be challenging at times, the relationship that you build with the other adults that care for your children is really important. And the way that you frame that around your children and talk about those adults around your children is super important, because ultimately we're all on the same team. Yeah, we might not see eye to eye on some things and, there will be clashes, but get on the same team as those grown-ups, and I think the outcomes will be better for your child. Okay, off my soapbox.
No, it was wonderful. Sarah Kechayas, thank you so much for joining us on More Than a Score. We have a bit of a tradition with trying to do a crisp high five at the end of every episode.
Tell me about this one.
Yeah, but that's okay. Like we can try. Is that all right to try? Yeah, you and me. Is that all right? Sweaty hands. Oh, don't worry. People get really nervous first. Do you want me to move your mic at all for it? Ready?
Yep.
Do you look at the elbow, or you just stare at the contact? Yeah, you can look wherever you want. Right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was good.
That was fine.
What was your
No, but that's made for good tone.
Mickey's so much.
That was
really funny.
Annie's all big for the good.
All for the eye. Well, he's now like, all right, I'm ready to prepare for mine.
Goodness, I'm scared now.
Oh,
Guys,
thank you.
well done.